Yeah, I think that's where we left off. So we have two routes. One is the initial one, which has nothing in this scenario, and it will go to this URL, this component actually. The URL will have this login component. And if you go to the admin section, we will go to the admin component. Okay. Now we can see this in action. If I say I need two URLs in here. What I can simply do is I can have two URLs in here. Let's have something called anchor link. Okay, and we will say something called router link, and we have empty, and we will call it home. So let's say login, so we don't make mistakes. And the next one, we will have something called admin, and which is the URL of /admin. Admin. Okay, I will take a here in here. So you can see that I am currently in admin. If I say login and it's login works, if I go admin and it says admin works. Okay, so this kind of routing is okay, but this is not the optimal way of doing things. So let me show why. Now, if I go to login, now the application is all set. I'll go to inspect and I'll show you guys something in here. And you guys know in Chrome, we can look at what are the network requests that's happening and all those things. If you go to the network tab, and if I hit refresh, you can see that you can see that in here, it's gonna load bunch of files in here. The CSS, icons, styles, and main and everything, and so on and so forth. But remember, while doing this, what we have done here is we have put login component, we have put admin component into a one single component. So what will happen in this scenario is if you have say for instance, if you have only these two components, okay, that makes more sense. There's only two things to load. But think enterprise grade application where we'll have like maybe 100 pages or 200 pages. What will happen is if we define our routes like this, it will load all the things at once, all the things in a one single file, and it will download. So the problem with that approach is the initial size of the page will take longer time to download. Okay, so it will make the application heavier. By time we are going, we can't even get the first page loading because this main JS would be huge, and this main JS will contain all the components that we need to load, and it will take a lot of time. Apparently, when we are in the login page, if you guys can see, when we're in the login page, we don't really need the admin component to be loaded. Even that if it is loading, that is something wrong, because we are already we already got things related to admin, even though we are not logged in. Okay, that can create some risk. To avoid such a thing, what we can do is we will use a technique called lazy loading. Okay, when we are doing lazy loading, what will happen is only the component that we have defined in eager loading, we call this method like eager loading, those things will be loaded. And when you are really ready to go to the next section, let's say once the login is completed and everything is done, now we need to go to the admin section. By that time, if we want to load the admin component, only when the routing happens, we load the admin component. So initially we don't load everything, only things that we need will be loaded, and time flies, or when we progress through the application, what we'll do is we will load the other necessary components. Okay, so in the login component, for sure, our admin component is not necessary. So in order to not to load the admin component at this time, at the login component, what we'll do is make this admin route a lazy route, lazy loaded route. To do that, it is really simple. Rather than defining the component directly, I can say load component. Okay, this method, I can say load component, and within the load component method, I have to do something called imports. Okay, in the load component method, and I will use the what is the syntax? I always forget these things. Let me check. Okay, so something I always forget and something I need to always remember. This is the syntax that we're going to be use. Okay, so we have the load component and function. It's going to be a function, and we will be using something called import. Okay, and we will give the relative part to the component. In this scenario, we have something called page. Page has admin, admin has admin component. Okay, so this is the relative part for that component. We are saying, okay, you load this file. But the problem is sometimes a single file in here, we are referring to admin component, this file actually. This file can contain multiple components. That is possible. Okay, that's not the way that we should do, but it is a possibility that we can do. Then we have to be explicit about which component within this file should be loaded. We are talking about this admin component itself. This is the file that we are talking about. We need to load the exact component from here. So after C, we will say admin component. So now what happens is this admin URL is lazy loaded. Okay. So what happens is initially, if you are going to the admin page, what will happen? It's only load the admin component, and that is eager loaded. And if you go to admin URL, it will lazy load this component and then show it. So I will show it. I will show you this in action. Now you guys can see that localhost 4200, and look at these JavaScript files. It's containing runtime, polyfills, vendor, main, and style. Okay. Now I refresh it and look what will happen if I click on the admin route. Okay. Now at the bottom, you will see that is something loaded on the fly. Okay, that's the file got loaded on the fly. That is, if you look at the name itself, it's a apps Allegro src app pages admin component. So what happened right now, rather than loading this admin component in the earliest run or earliest version or in the initial page, it's loading on the background. Now, if I refresh this page, now you can see it, since it is already in the URL, it is loading on the background. But if I go to the login and if I refresh, it is not loading. But if as soon as I click on the admin plugin, admin route, it is loading. So this is what we call the lazy loading strategy. By using this lazy loading strategy, what will happen is it will improve our application drastically. So we don't load everything at once. Since these are like SP application, single page application, we don't load everything at once. It will be load on demand. Okay. So you guys remember this strategy. It's life-saving, and it is always good to know these strategies by heart. Otherwise, what will happen is you won't be able to work with big applications on the long run. Okay, this is what we call a lazy loading. Take a good look at this import. Okay, defining the path. This is eager loading. This is lazy loading. Okay, so you can load a component like this. Even we will when we go to the next level, we will have the admin section can have different routes, admin /home, admin / let's say users, admin /xy, anything that can be also lazy loaded we will see while we are progressing throughout our course. Okay, so you guys got the idea on lazy loading, how it is done in Angular. Any questions on that? Because that is really important piece of code that you will definitely use throughout application development. That's the participant. Everybody understood how lazy load works? Katranga? Nirosha?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So make sure these concepts are covered thoroughly, otherwise you will get lost. Okay. So I will do some changes in here. Let's hope we have enough time to introduce some Angular material stuff and mobile stuff, mobile development stuff. So I'll remove these things, remove these two. I'll remove the footer. I'll just go with the login component. Okay, I have this login component. Now I am not working in the route outlet, but I should go to the login component to do any changes on here. So I'll go to login component in here, and I will have login HTML component in here. So I don't open it. Okay. Now, few things I would show in terms of web and mobile development, what we have to be really careful about. Now I need what we call a form. Okay, we need a form that need to be shown with username and password in the middle. Okay, how are we gonna add that? So we will be creating a simple HTML form. Okay, so to create HTML form, I need some inputs to be put, like what we are doing in what we have seen in typing. So Angular materials comes with basic inputs such as this, where we can really easily use. Okay, so I'll create a simple form using these Angular material components. It's really simple. Let's do it in an easy way. So first thing, when we are creating form, we need to have the form tag. I'll just copy paste these things and I'll remove that placeholder. I don't need anything right as of right now. I will just say email. I don't need these classes, which is not my intended thing. So basic thing is we have a form element, which is normal for any HTML. And if I need an input to be put in here, I would use the form field element, which is provided by Angular material, which will render something like this. Okay. So in order to use that, I have to have the form field, what is the label that I'm going to use, and what is the input field. Right now, if I put this, it's going to complain me, okay, mat form field is not something that we know where we can find this. Okay, it's fairly simple because the HTML does not know about this new component like we show earlier on. We need to import that. We need to import this mat form field component. So how are we going to do that? It's already in the document. So if I go to the API section, this is where you can find the input material input module, and once it is imported, make sure to define it in the import section, and the error goes away. Okay, now we have an email field within our application. So if I want to do some changes, obviously you can change these, check out these examples. What are the things that you can do? What are the things that you can't do? What are a lot of things. So personally, I like to change the appearance of this. So there is a attribute called appearance, and it is called outline, if I'm not mistaken. Outline, yeah. If I put it outline, you can see that email is shown something differently. say I want the password as well. Let's say I want the password, and I will put it in here, password. Okay, password. Correct. Okay, and I can type in here, but the password should not show. What I can do is the input type should be password. Okay, now it is not showing anything, but it's giving me the autocorrect things, but that's okay for now. And these are like giving all the password that I have saved so far. Okay, but the weird thing is I need to make things a little bit cool. I need to put this in the center of page, and we want to make it look so visible within the middle of the page. So how are we going to do that? Anyone have any idea how to get this thing down to the center and make it not align on each one? Anyone have done CSS? Can help me here? How we can make it center? Yes? Anyone? Any brave CSS guys? So these are the things that you should learn within this course module. How you're gonna do this? Who are the web pros that we had here? Can't remember the names. That's why I'm asking. Was it Sisita? Sisita? Can't remember Sisita said, right? It was, can't remember who said that. Chaturanga? Chaturanga, you did, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, help me, Chaturanga, how we can make this center.
Two components, sir.
Sorry?
These two components.
Yes, I need these two components in the middle and stack on top of another. How are we going to do that? Yes?
In form field,
Okay.
can put display flex.
Okay, so we are not going to do it inline. We will create a class first. Okay, we will call this login form. Okay, so then we can apply these things in here. Login form. Okay, display to be flex. Okay.
Flex direction column.
Direction column. Great. All right, now they are on top of another. Now we need to center it.
Justify content center.
Justify content would justify in the in its own form. Yeah. But we need to say not within the content, but from the its parent. Parent should justify content. Right?
Parent.
Yeah, the form, if we say justify content in here, what will happen is the content within the form will be center justified. What
justify self.
Sorry, justify self.
Self.
Justify self. I'm not familiar. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So what we need to do is we need to say the form should be justified center, right? The form should be in the middle. That's what we need to do. Okay, the form should be styled. Now what we have styled is the component within that. So yes, your answer is correct, Chaturanga. Let's have a look around here. So what we have done here, the styling of the login form. So we have a login form, and we have two components in here. One is the email input field. The other one is the password. Okay, there are two things. So if I say within the login form, display type to be flex, this is the flex way of arranging items, and we will say justify flex direction. Whenever we are directing the children of this form, they should be in a column. That means the children, this one and this one should be in a column manner. We can have some other ways like justify direction row, and it will be in a row manner. But now we need a column, and we have made it column. Justify content in here will make this appear center, but it's not going to do any changes in here as the appearance. So what I need to do is now have this form to be centered. Okay. So what we can do is we can wrap this form in another div and make that div center. Or in Angular, we can have something called the host. Okay, the host in the sense, host is the one wrapping all these things up. Okay, the host is the one we have all these things up. It's like the parent one. So in host, I will say its display gonna be flex, and justify content, align items will be centered. Now you can see aligning, it will be centered, and justify content, it should all be centered. Now you can see it is trying to come to the center, but it is not. Let me show the reason behind it. The host itself, it is centered around its boundaries. If I put a background color in here, say red, now you can see the host itself, it is not stretched out all the way down to its parents. It is not it at full height. Okay, so it is centering the area, it is bounded. Okay, it's bounded to this area, and it is not centering as it should. So what we can do is we can say, okay, host, take the entire height of this application. So the height of this host should be 100 view height. 100 view height means 100% of the view height. Now it is stretching all the way down. And if I remove the background color, now you can see the elements in the host is centered nice and neatly. Now, if I want this login display form to stretch a little bit more, if I say background color and see in here like aqua, now you can see it is not stretched all the way around to its parent. So we can say login form width should be 100%. Okay, it's gonna go up to 100% of its parent. The form is stretched. Now I don't need that much. I would at least make like 90%. That would make much nicer. And if I remove the background color, now there you go. We have a login form on in here. Let's say we want to add something in here as well. Let's say we want H1, or let's say H3, and say login, and there you go. We have a login screen. Now we need a button on bottom. So I will use a button, and I will say login. There you go. We have a button on the bottom. Now the button looks okay, but we can theme it, we can customize it using Angular material. And it is done the same way. You don't have a matte button or something like that, but we have something called matte button directive, but it's not gonna style. So one thing that you need to do is you need to import matte button. So that's done by material button, matte button module, and you have to import that matte button module in here. Now the button is materialized. You can see it from the colors. Say for instance, I need this to be colored. I can say color primary. Then it will look like the primary color, the primary theme color. Or if I want this to be like a stroke one, or it's filled with one, I can say matte stroke, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, matte stroke, that means it will draw a border. I think if I say filled, no, I can't remember. Let's go to the component library, go to button. Oh, there you go. There is the button variants. What I can do is matte filled or raise button. If I say matte raise button, okay, raise, not the thing, it's the thing. Okay, raised with color primary. That's the secret ingredients. If I'm not mistaken. There you go. So now we have a button, mat raise button, which will emphasize it a little bit. And the color primary will give its primary color. If I say accent, and it will give the green color, the accent color that we have defined in the theme. But for now, I will say primary. And there you go. It's gonna go there. And since this is the login screen, I can say, okay, I will do some logic behind this. Of course, as soon as I click on the login, we should not go for the next screen. So what we can do is we have to say on login. Okay, there will be some backend logics that's gonna happen. Right now, I think okay, that's all done. The authentication, everything is done. We'll skip that for now. What we need to do is we need to route from login to admin. So we need to do it manually. Earlier we used something called router link, but since this is router link is not available in the code section, we have to manually do that. We have something called router to do that. So we need to import that router. That is important by a private router variable, and it is called router. Okay, we have to inject these things. We will go into dependency injection in more detail. Right now, we need to get hold of the router, and we will say this dot router navigate, and we will say just go to the admin. Okay, if I click now, it's gonna go to the admin section, and I think it's coming back, right? I think it's because of the form submission it's doing. So I have to say, what do you call that? Submit. Stop form submission and view. How are you gonna do that? Form submission, I have to do that. Form on submit. I can just simply on submit method. Okay, I'll use the on submit method rather than the click method. On submit, what I need to do is on login rather than in the button itself. Let's see whether it helps. No, it's gonna go the same way. Is the URL is correct? Yeah, the URL seems to be incorrect. Let me correct that. Router.navigate. Did I Angular router navigate? Did I do it right? Construct a router. Okay, I have installed the router. Router.navigate to users. I think the URL is also correct, right? We have admin, and I go to the admin section. Good. Login component normally should work. log in anyhow. That's the case. Let me do a quick change. Okay. Let's do something about this by introducing what we call angular forms. Okay, I'll do a quick form introduction. We'll continue this later on, but for now I will create I need to capture these values. Okay, I need to capture these two values, so I will create something called a form group in Angular. So if I need to create that, I need to capture these things. So in order to work with forms, we have something called reactive form modules. Okay, let's take the reactive form module into our action. And in here, we have something called form group. Okay, we will create a new form and it will be called form group. Form group, and this form group have two controllers, email. I'll just pass code this for now. A new form controller, and we have a password controller, and it is a new form controller as well. And I will bind this form group to our form. Form group and here. Okay, the submission has stopped. Okay, that's good. Now we will have this click event on login. Okay, on login, what we can do is, yes, we will go to the admin section. Okay, you guys can see that what we had to do is we had to stop the form propagation. We did that by introducing reactive forms, or we can, I will definitely talk in more detail in upcoming lectures. For now, we have just take the value and navigate to the admin page. Okay, we just, when you click on it, it goes here, but we have done it programmatically using this router navigate method. But if we want to show these values, whatever the values that we have put in the email and the password, we can say console.log this form group.value. We will definitely talk about these things, and you can see the name and password is null. If I just type something in here, still the binding has not happened, but we can get the bindings done. I think today is a bit overflow for that. Right now, we did not bind these values from the form into our form group. We'll discuss on that. For now, we will be focusing on navigating to the next page. And it works, but only thing that you need to do is define a form group in here. Okay, so we create a lot today. We created the form, we created a login form, and we created navigation. We add Angular material to our projects. Those kind of things, a lot of things we have done. So let's give a break for today. We'll continue this tomorrow and get more into action after we completed these things. Let me stop the recording.